6ix9ine reveals the truth about the passing of DMX. On April 9th, 2021, hip-hop lost one of its most revolutionary artists. DMX wasn't just a mainstream artist, he was a legend. The man had some real talent to achieve this title in the era when rap had just bid farewell to an icon like Tupac. Throughout his life, if there was one thing that everyone associated with DMX, it was loyalty. Keep watching to find out what 6ix9ine said about DMX after he passed that made everyone cancel him. DMX and 6ix9ine connection. At first look, no one would think that there must be some kind of connection between DMX and 6ix9ine. X made it in the industry more than 2 decades ago, and Tekashi has hit the scene only a few years ago. Tekashi 6ix9ine, whose real name is Daniel Hernandez, made more headlines for giving out information about his gang to the prosecutors than for his songs. You might be wondering where DMX fit into this narrative of him snitching on his crew. In 2019, Tekashi was serving time in Queens Detention Center and DMX was in MCC. X's finances were never sorted. He tried to clear bankruptcy many times as he owed a lot of money in child support. He even went to jail for that. But in 2018, he got a 1-year sentence for tax fraud. He owed $2.9 million to the government. It was claimed that despite his debts, he maintained a lavish lifestyle and even hid a few assets when he filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy. X didn't try much to fight this charge as he knew a mistake had been made. Even the judge sympathized with him. The prosecutors wanted him in for at least 5 years, whereas he got off much easier. DMX and 6ix9ine were in the prison at the same time. Tekashi said he derived his strength from watching DMX. He was going all crazy inside the prison. In fact, he used to read the Bible with the inmates. X did get very religious towards the end, so this part is completely believable, but what could have been a great anecdote about seeing how a hip-hop icon conducted himself turned into something extremely twisted, so much so that Tekashi's past controversies would pale in comparison to this one. Details of 6ix9ine snitching. In November 2018, Daniel was arrested due to his connections with the 9 Trey Gangsta Bloods gang. He had a long list of charges and was seeing a lifetime imprisonment. His charges included serious crimes like illegal firearm possession, aiding in murder, and racketeering. He knew there was no way out and pleaded guilty without putting up a fight. In September 2019, he made a deal with prosecutors to testify against his own gang members, and in return, he would get leniency in his sentence. Although the exact details have been kept under the wraps for legal purposes, soon the word got out that he didn't spare any detail. He took everyone's name and told them everything they needed to know. He told them all about the inner workings of 9 Trey. The gang had been on the police's radar for a long time, but they had been good at not leaving any trail behind. The most useful part of 6ix9ine's testimony was that he took names of the bigwigs like Anthony Harv Ellison and Al Jeremiah Nuke Mack, who have been the masterminds behind this whole gang. 6ix9ine told that many people from the industry belong to this gang. He also name-dropped a few rappers involved: Mel Matrix, Jim Jones, and his manager Kifano Shadi Jordan. Even the judge was impressed with his cooperation and acknowledged that the streets would get more dangerous for him now. He told them that due to his music career, he's at an even greater risk as he's easily recognizable. Despite the threat, Tekashi was adamant that he wouldn't leave his career, and whenever he would be out, studio would be his first stop. In November 2019, he was sentenced to 2 years in addition to 300 hours of community service and a $35,000 fine. Previously, he had served 13 months in jail, which was factored in when it came to his complete sentence. The rapper finally got out of jail in April 2021. DMX alleged advice to 6ix9ine. Initially, Daniel was lauded for his bravery and truthfulness. Soon after coming out of jail, media outlets hounded him for his interview. They wanted the inside scoop and more names from the industry. In one such interview with the Billboard magazine, 6ix9ine made a strange revelation. He told DMX was the guy who gave him the push that he needed to save his own life. He said DMX told him, "You gotta do what you gotta do, man. You have to protect yourself." This statement indicated that DMX made him give up all the information so he can reduce his own sentence. DMX was a rapper with immense street cred. He wasn't unfamiliar with the workings of street life, which is why Daniel took his advice and decided to turn his life around. According to him, they talked on the phone a lot, and DMX was all about motivating people. In the interview, it was clear that Tekashi respected DMX a lot. He said that he was the real deal. X was one of the few rappers who lived his lyrics. He knew what he talked about, not like today's rappers who only have a tough exterior but no substance. 6ix9ine respected this about him. He said, "None of these rappers ever caught a body, but they spit murder, murder, murder every single time." DMX never really said anything about Daniel on camera. Even after their stint in the prison ended, X didn't share that he had any sort of connection with 6ix9ine there. It was only Tekashi's side of the story where he just met him at the prison and got close to him and took his advice. He didn't ever mention meeting him after coming out of jail, which made many people suspicious of the whole incident. Everyone knew DMX wasn't a coward. Had he given him such advice, he would have stood behind him, making sure people know of his association with him. He was the kind of guy who would show up to a concert for confrontation if a rapper even tried to throw some shade at him. Fans' reaction to the statement. Fans did not take this story like Tekashi must have planned. He made the DMX hero as well as put all the blame on him so he could have some kind of safety. He didn't only take the gang members' names, he even dropped names of a few people from the industry, which made fear for his reputation. 6ix9ine was being more commonly known as a snitch in his surroundings. Nobody wanted to hang out with him, and fans think this is where he came up with the whole DMX story. X was a well-respected hip-hop legend. Tekashi knew if he took his name, it would get him some clout. Fans rejected his story as soon as the interview came out. They knew X would never encourage someone to snitch, it just wasn't his personality. X wasn't new to all this trouble. He had been to prison multiple times, but he himself never took a name and always did his time. Despite multiple people alleging that he did this to throw DMX under the bus as he did with his gang, Tekashi never changed his story. Even after X's death, the rapper repeated the same story in multiple interviews. People again didn't like this as they thought it wasn't honoring his memory. It was more of taking advantage of an opportunity as now X will never be there to tell if it's true or not. Some fans have interpreted that he may have misunderstood his word to him. X may have told him to protect himself by doing everything in his power, like he could have been referring to praying or writing but definitely not snitching. X was a very religious man and he knew the power of prayer. Everyone has their own spin on their story, but one thing that everyone unequivocally believes is that there's no way DMX encouraged him to snitch. He knew the streets better than anyone else, and snitching isn't very well received by it. His whole life, he was known for remaining tight-lipped and loyal, which wasn't easy as he also used to keep going to prison after every few years. Why Tekashi isn't a believable person? 6ix9ine has always been seeking attention one way or the other. His career has more controversies than hits, be it starting beef with other rappers right before release or keep changing his persona, the guy just never acts steadily. Despite his hard persona, Tekashi has always maintained that he is depressed. It began when he was 13 and found his father was murdered. He started acting out, and before even high school began, he dropped out. After that, he just went out of control, and one thing led to another. Before he knew, he had gotten into selling drugs. Drug peddling got him to prison where he joined the 9 Trey gang. He has a pattern of getting into things himself and then finding someone to take all the blame. He did it with his gang, joined them when he was weak and nobody was with him, then as soon as he got clout, he ditched them and told everything he knew. With DMX also, he didn't keep it private and made it seem like he was the one who made him do it. After releasing from jail, he even completed a 2-month mandatory mental health program. He only got out when he was deemed fit to be released, which means he didn't have any severe mental illness or even depression that he had said he had had since he was a teenager. The only reason his story might hold up is because X never responded to it. He had become a much elevated soul who was trying to make music, make peace with his family, and reconnect with his core. DMX was in no place for starting a quarrel with a small-time rapper while he has done it all in the genre. Tekashi got his name and fame much early in his career. It would have been great if he had only stuck to doing what got him popular in the first place. Rappers calling out 6ix9ine's story a lie. 6ix9ine's story got some serious reaction from the public, but it also got a harsh response from many rappers. His respect had already become non-existent due to the label of being a snitch. This didn't help that he tried to drag a hip-hop legend with him this time, and not just anyone, it was someone who had actually been nice to him in the prison. Rappers like Meek Mill, Future, 50 Cent, and Boosie Badass called him a rat and condemned his behavior. Needless to say, even those whom he didn't rat out are also not his fans. When his DMX story came out, the old rappers who had known DMX personally have unanimously said that the X they knew would never encourage someone to betray his own people. Snoop Dogg was among the first ones to react to this whole situation. He clearly said that DMX didn't do anything, and he even compared Tekashi to Martha Stewart, who remained tight-lipped during her trial unlike him. 6ix9ine may have thought that his story would touch people's hearts as they might then start seeing him as DMX's protege, but sadly that's not the case. Everyone just now looks at him as someone who didn't show any respect to a legend and tried to malign his name for his own selfish gains. Stay tuned, and next time we'll bring you more inside stories from Hollywood.